guy who comes in and writes half the album with the band type of thing. What do you think, Dave?
I think the Michael McDonald thing was that the 1984 album was coming out soon, and Dave was struggling with lyrics on that song, so Ted brought Michael McDonald in and, helped him with a few things.
Yeah.
So, yes, technically, Van Halen did have an outside writer on that song with the lyrics. Totally agree with that. Mm-hmm. But as a rule, it's not like Desmond Child with Bon Jovi came in and helped write half the songs. That wasn't happening.
Right. Letter number 6 comes from Matthew Booze. And Matthew says, love the podcast. It drives me crazy how Eddie gets a pass for being such an ass. Dave, even when he's out of the band, gave credit where credit was due. Eddie's talented. Mike's got a great voice. Has Eddie ever given Mikey credit for singing? Don't think so. Did he ever give Dave credit for his creative lyrics, videos, t-shirts? Yes, Eddie's guitar playing is amazing, but without Dave's creating the image of Van Halen isn't Van Halen. Plus, Dave suggested the name Van Halen. Dave and Mikey were both crapped on by Eddie, yet they waved the banner more than anyone, certainly more than Eddie ever did. There are even more examples I could give, but it would just piss me off. Your thoughts? Thank you, Matthew Booze. Well, yes, you're right. Absolutely. Eddie gets away with murder, and it's because of what he brings to the table. You know, what can I tell you? He's the Michael Jordan of rock guitar. So the guy is a genius. There's no Van Halen without Eddie Van Halen. You know, he's the guy who creates the music for sure. It's always the brothers versus everyone else, whether it's Sam or Mike or Dave. There's always some sort of issue. The band name caused too much possession obsession for sure, to quote Hall & Oates. But it is really an ego thing. The fact that the band is named after Eddie and Al is unfair. If the band was named Mammoth, it would be a totally different scenario. But I don't know. It's a strange situation. But you're right. You're absolutely right. You know, Dave doesn't really crap on Ed, and Mike doesn't crap on Ed, and Ed craps on everybody else. So what do you think, Dave?
Look, Ed tells it like it is.
Okay.
A lot of people don't like that.
Uh-huh.
He's not a take the high road guy.
No, that's Mike.
Like Mike, who, keeps his mouth shut most of the time.
Yeah.
And there's probably a reason why Dave was doing most of the press back in the day and not Ed. I mean, look, that's just the way it is. I mean, he said once, I let my fingers do the talking. I let my music do the talking, which he does.
Right.
If you want the unvarnished, harsh truth, Ed will give it to you.
He'll give it to you hard.
He will give it to you. So does that make him come off like an ass? Well, yeah, sometimes it does. But there's never any confusion about where he stands with things when he does say something.
That's true. That's true. So we are on to letter number 7, and strap in, because Air Force J from Half Moon Bay is back, and he's got a lot to say. So what does he say? He says, Dave and Dave, oh my God, you guys are all class. You just listed your 50th, happy 50th on all fronts, by the way. And I know it's been talked about 1,000 times, but the way you guys honored all of the Van Halen singers was impressive. There are a lot of Van Halen fans who would have taken that moment to badmouth Dave, badmouth Sam, throw shade on Gary, etc. The fact that you did none of that here was so amazingly impressive. And yes, I know you are fans of the whole band, but to include moments such as when the band dogged Sam for wanting to be present for the birth of his child versus recording new music, to Dave's performance at the VMAs in 1996, to screwing with Mitch, to be successfully switched singers to the height of their popularity, the whole list was full of class. Huge applause to you both. And oh man, when you hit number 1 on the worst moves, the hair on my arm stood up, and I remain pissed at a lot of what this band has done over the years, but the way the brothers have unleashed the Hershey squirts on Mike is horrendous. And when the big moment I was waiting for, will they mention the website? Somebody please mention the website. When Dave went off on how Van Halen tried to erase Mike from the history, I started cheering, yes, they nailed it. That's the stamp on the whole thing. By the way, another dick move is when they erased Mike from the Guitar Hero video game during the same time as the website fiasco. If it were possible, and I'm sure others will write into, I'd like to put in A few additional honorable mentions on your list. 3 worst moves. Number 1, not capitalizing on the momentum from A Different Kind of Truth and pushing for a performance in a Super Bowl halftime show. That year after A Different Kind of Truth came out would have been perfect for Van Halen to rock the house. Number 2, not utilizing Sam on guitar during the Van Halen era. Please go into this if you read my letter during the podcast. I know you've mentioned this before, but your comments can't be overstated. The band missed a huge opportunity there. Number 3, not doing anything to promote the band during the off years. There are so many ways they could keep the Van Halen name current. Release some new music on Rocksmith. Research that if you don't know about it. Have Ed and Al do something at Clapton's Crossroads guitar festivals. Or do more collaborations like Ed did with LL Cool J. 4 best moves. Number 1, not pushing Dave to sing Sam era songs. I love those songs, but as a parent might tell a child, Dave, that's not for you. Number 2, in recent years, hearing Dave, Mike, and at some times Sam choose not to comment negatively about the band members, Mike takes the lead on that one. Number 3, Sam clearing the calendar for Mike to rejoin Van Halen, and Van Halen at least attempting to do a tour with the full original band. And number 4, allowing Dave and Dave to have a podcast on all things Van Halen without doing a whole bunch of foolishness to shut it down. Seems like just crazy. Seems like the brothers do all they can to keep the information from getting out to the fans. Thank you, Dave and Dave, for doing what you do. It is both safe and sad to say that over the last few years, you are all working harder on Van Halen than Van Halen is. Air Force J and Half Moon Bay. Well, that is a really nice letter from you, Jay, and I appreciate all your wonderful comments. It is very sweet of you. In terms of the worst moves, I would have to say one of the things I would have added was the under-promotion of A Different Kind of Truth. That was for sure. I thought that album was under-promoted. And I also thought, yes, obviously not having Sam do more guitar work live, I thought it definitely was a big miss. Best move, Dave not singing the Sammy Hagar songs. Well, basically he can't. So it's like, I don't know what, also he never would either. You said here as the best moves, the recent years about, the Dave and Mike and Sam not slagging it. Well, you can't count Sam there if you read his book. Dave and Mike definitely were classy about it. In terms of the number 3 best move, Sammy clearing his calendar for Mike, I don't know if that would be considered a best move, because Sammy went out of his way there and he got screwed. I mean, I feel bad for Sam on that one, and Mike, of course, but...
Yeah, that's not a Van Halen move, though. That's a Sam move.
That's a Sam move, yeah, that's true. And allowing Dave and Dave to do the podcast, I don't even know what to say about that. I mean, it's like...
Well, don't give him any ideas.
Yeah, all right, we're going to skip that on. Letter number 8 comes from Keith Sousa in Colorado. Well, hey, guys. Great show. You're all working hard is appreciated, and thank you. I just listening to Van Halen live with Gary in Australia and remembered how good the show was I saw at the Garden. We know Van Halen 3 was panned, but where do those live performances fit into the Van Halen legacy? I personally wouldn't put them last. Your thoughts, Keith Sousa in Colorado. Well, I agree with you, Keith. I love the Van Halen 3 tour. I thought it was excellent. The set list was phenomenal. I thought Gary performed beautifully. He's the only one who could pull off both halves of Van Halen. Absolute masterfully done, that's for sure. Was it my favorite tour? No, it wasn't my favorite, but I have no complaints about it. Where does it rank? It's hard to say. But I can tell you this, it was better than the 2004 tour with Sam, that's for sure. What do you have to say, Dave?
If he's talking about the Madison Square Garden show, when he says the Garden, that was a great show.
It was a great show.
They did a double encore at the end, which, they almost never do, which was fantastic. I thought it was a good show from the standpoint that they did both eras of the band, which doesn't usually happen.
Right.
Yeah, it's better than 2004, but that's not saying much. I don't know. Maybe one day we'll have to rank the tours.
Yeah, you're right. We might have to do that.
Although that's tough because I haven't seen all the tours and you just go from bootlegs and stuff like that.
That is hard. Yeah.
It was a really good tour, and I wish the album was as good as the tour.
Yeah.
But anybody who didn't see it because they were like, well, it's not Dave, it's not Sam, I'm not going to see it, really missed out because the band was playing really well.
Yeah.
And Gary sang well.
Yeah.
I love the show when we went there, when we went to the Garden to see it.
Absolutely. And I would definitely urge anybody to go out and find the Unchained Monsters boot from that tour, because that is the unreleased live album that would have been coming out from the Gary era, and they just canned it. So
right, or a boot of the Australia show.
Australia's good too. Yeah. Letter number 9 comes from Ralph Krugler, and he says, "Hey guys, just a request. I'm sure you've tried, but can you possibly get Mike or Al's techs on for an interview? If not them specifically, maybe do something to focus on each for a show more than just some random mention in a news segment. I don't give a crap what Noel says. Al is one of the best drummers in rock history, and Mike is a great bass player and was the perfect guy to provide the background vocals to create the complete Van Halen sound. I think they both should get some feature on the show. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. Ralph Krugler." Ralph, I totally agree with you. You know, those two are so quiet. That's what it is. They kind of stay in the background and do that. I would love to have their techs on. I'm trying to get Doogie, which is Mike's bass tech, on. I definitely want to have him on. That's definitely someone I'm trying to pursue. Mike, I'm trying to get Mike on too. Oh my God, that would be phenomenal. You know what I mean? I would love to talk to him. I mean, it's not like I would need to get into all kinds of dirt here because he's not going to do that, but I would love to talk to him about so many things people normally don't talk to him about. I'm going to try for that as well. And we'll see what happens with this whole touring situation. I was hoping maybe, we could get Sam or Mike on or something like that. That'd be great. Dave, what do you think? I mean, and Al, I would love to have Al. Al's like such a mystery, though. Oh, my God. He's like a mysterious monk, that guy. He's like hard to get anything on, but I would love to do that. And maybe we'll try to feature them somehow in the future. We'll see. Go ahead, Dave. What do you think?
Doogie would be great because he's worked with Mike for years, so I'm sure that guy has great war stories. Al's tech, JD, I think, is that John Douglas, I think is the guy's name? I'd love to have him because he has been Alex's tech, and he's also been a tech for Sam's solo band. And has played as Sam's percussionist in the past, too.
Wow.
So that guy has been on both sides of the fence.
Oh, nice.
So I would love to sit down and hear what he has to say because, like I said, he's been on both sides of the fence, so he must have, he said, she said stories that would be really interesting to hear.
Absolutely.
It's all like, like when Eddie Trunk says, people always like, you should have this person on the show, you should have that person on the show. Right. Absolutely. Yeah. But the people have to say yes.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And they have to return phone calls, they have to return emails, they have to return texts.
Yeah.
I mean, believe me, Dave C. is out there all the time.
All the time, yeah.
Asking people. And the thing is, if they say no, then it's no, and you got to look for somebody else.
I know.
So, yeah, absolutely. We like Doogie, love to have him on in a heartbeat, but he's got to say yes.
Yeah, he's got to say yes. That's right. Well, we're always pursuing to get interesting people. We have interesting people now. We got something lined up for next month, and we always continue going forward. Anyway, letter number 10, Dave, comes from Anonymous. Oh, boy. So this person was ashamed to put their name down. DLR opening for Kiss in Lincoln, Nebraska, February 25th. Straight back. And they send a Dropbox. It says, play the clip. Fast forward to 1 minute and 35 seconds to the start of Running with the Devil. And then minimize or hide the player. Not that you can see much. And then it says, just listen to the audio. You'd swear Michael Anthony was on the stage singing background vocals. Anonymous, Dave. Anonymous is like Deep Throat.
Anonymous. Although
so we have our own
not the only
Deep
person
Throat
to say that. I mean, it's been the general consensus that the background vocals sound a lot like the vocals from the original song.
I think that would get them in trouble, though. I mean, I certainly think the background vocals are being pumped in. That's for sure. My question is, I don't know if they're using the originals or not, or you could get people to imitate them and re-record them for sure.
I don't know. I got to tell you, I would bet money.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would.
All right.
I would. On at least one song. He's doing it at least for the solo songs. I would bet money that it's on a lot of the songs.
I also hear
solo, you name it.
I also hear him doing his own background vocals too.
Well, that's why I'm saying he's right. When you close your eyes and you listen to the background vocals, they are pretty close to as you remember them from the song.
You
So
know,
what does that tell you?
I'll tell you what it tells me. You just said he's right. Who's to say it's not a she? It's anonymous.
Okay, fair enough.
Oh,
You are correct, sir.
You never know. Okay. Well, we're on to letter number 11, and that comes from